Welcome to the Process Masters podcast. I'm your fellow process enthusiast, Amelia, and I'm here today with Amir Naderi. Amir, thanks for joining
My
us.
pleasure.
Amir, you have been operations manager and then you went to director of logistics at a limousine company, then regional director of operations of a larger transportation company. You co founded PSH Group, which oversee the operations of startup ventures such as a ride sharing app in the Middle East, orchestrated go to market strategies. Then, at a big law firm, you actually transformed the operational capacity, facilitating rapid onboarding of over 20,000 clients. Well, and here you are today with us. And nowadays, you help other businesses do just that, like streamline operations and orchestrate workflows. So, Amir, my first question to you is you blend 15 years in ops with a decade in technical work. What first pulled you in to work with the process side of businesses?
That's a good question, and thank you for having me on. Spending my lifetime in logistics and transportation from back in the day when we used to use what's called a Thomas guide map to get around. So when you had to tell the driver how to get someplace, they had to open up this big map. Every area had its own region and its own map, and go, okay, driver, you have to make a left and a right. So the first transformation in technology I saw is when the maps came online. When we had the in the car. Um, uh, Driving directions. So that was the first thing of wow, this just changed the game. I no longer need to have 10 maps. We can now use technology. That's the first small step. And then the second one was where we saw software, how software completely transformed everything. For instance, we were at one of the larger outfits we were at. We were the official limousine company for the Academy Awards. So if you could imagine doing logistics for the Academy Awards, we would have 300 to 400 pickups on one pickup, on one day rather.
Wow.
So planning for this would take 10 days, 2 weeks. A lot of things go wrong. You plan and a lot of things go wrong. I watched how software made that so much easier and so much better. So that's when I kind of gravitated more towards the technology side. It was, I've always been at the intersection, but that's when I gravitated towards technology. I'm like, I like this part. I
Yeah.
understand the business. That's my backbone, but I like what I see with the technology.
That's so interesting. And was there so this aha moment with technology? Can you tell us a little bit more on how you transit from that moment to bringing technology to other sides and other businesses? I mean, from logistics to startup and a ride sharing app, and then a law firm. I mean, such different industries, different settings. How do you transit between these different industries?
Well, what happens is as I did run a small business myself, and what happened, you're busy putting out fires. You're busy dealing with the day to day, and you might have an IT team, you might not, but you're not aware of the newest things that are going on. You don't know about what you can streamline. You don't know what you can scale with. So I noticed that there's in the market there is a need for small business and medium businesses to be able to introduce them tools, give them tools to let them allow them to scale. And like the use case that we have right now with that we're using with Pipefy, they used to have a team of 4 to 5 people. They were abroad, it was outsourced, but 4 to 5 people handling documents every single day. So all they would do is they would go copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. Now with Pipefy and some tools that we have integrated with Pipefy, this is happening in milliseconds.
Wow.
Not only it doesn't need a team of 4 people anymore, errors are down 75% because of human error. And so this is just like one of the examples of you're saving so much time and you're getting a better product because you're using tools to your advantage.
I believe there is a lot of people listening to us, and if they are here listening to this, they are interested in making their lives easier. They are interested in workflows and process automation. So, can you explain to the listener here how do you get about understanding a process such as this one that you just described with 4 people and copy and paste and this and that to having these insights and plugging in tools that will actually eliminate errors and bring the results that the business needs?
Sure. Well, this day and age, I don't think my team and I have said no in the last 18 months. That's really the reality.
Wow.
It's with the tools, and I mean we don't get the credit for it. It's Pipefy and apps like Workato that just
Hmm.
allow us to bridge everything. So I mean, if it has an open API, which most softwares do these days, we can connect it. We can find a way to connect it. Now sometimes we need to use variety of tools. So
Hmm.
sometimes you need to write your own API to connect it to Zapier and then connect it to Workato.
Hmm.
But very little we can't get done. So I mean, if you're doing something manually, if you're doing something repetitive, there's chances are we can improve that process. That process can be improved.
That's amazing. And I think the thing is, many times we get used to these processes, right? I was talking to another process enthusiast yesterday. We were at this event together, and she said that her process it actually was completely based on paper,
Mhm.
physical paper.
Sure.
2020, that was her case. COVID hit, and boom, she had to change everything.
Sure.
So uh, if you are still dealing with physical paper, if you're still dealing with tools that don't connect to each other, how do you feel the need to change? And I think once you do, there's a lot of fear around that, right? Like, I mean, it's broken, but it's working.
Hmm.
Have you heard this before?
Sure. Sure. That's exactly right. It's, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah,
And not only, yeah, people are married to their systems, as good or bad as it may be,
there it is.
and people are scared to change. It's
Mm,
it's natural. And then
yeah.
you'll see, even if the decision maker makes the decision, you see along the way that
Mm.
the people in charge don't, they don't like to change. They don't want to learn something new. But it's like I've seen it dozens, hundreds of times. Like once it gets started and they get the hang of it, it's like I mean, it gets to the point, I don't want to say they're addicted to it, but it's like it
Mm.
goes down for 5 minutes and all of a sudden you're, what's going on? I'm like I think to myself, wow, 18 months ago you were fighting this. So you need to do it. I mean, it's 2025. If you're not using these tools to your advantage, your competitors will,
Wow.
and then God knows, what the future, what if you will have a future. But
Oh
you
my.
have to use these tools to your advantage, and check it out. As I said, there's really little you can't do. If you're not even going to hire someone, do a search, go on ChatGPT, do a
Mm.
search, say, hey, I want to connect. When we had an interesting use case, we have a restaurant that right now, I mean, restaurant solutions, they're basically out the box. They have everything, Grubhub, and they have A to Z. But this guy was kind of old school. He was
Mhm.
old school, and he noticed that Grubhub is taking 20, 30%
Mm, that
of his
happens a lot.
of
Yeah.
his cut, and he's like, for delivery, I don't have a delivery driver, fine, but for pickups, I'm losing too much. So a solution we made for him is we made him a simple landing page on a website
Mhm.
where he could take the orders on backed on the Stripe, and instead of 20, 30%, he's paying 2.5%.
Mm.
So that was good for him. But what happened is he couldn't manage the emails. He was missing emails, and it caused him
Wow.
stress. So what we did is we created an automation that we created a standalone email for him. Every time that email got an email that matched our criteria, it was an order. We put some unique thing in there. It used an automation. We used Zapier to call his phone. And it would call his
Okay.
phone and say, hello, Matt, you have a new order. Please log into your email and check it. So there's a solution for even a guy that, he's set in his ways. It has to be a phone call. He can't manage email. You can find a way to make it work for what they're comfortable with, their comfort zone.
So your starting point is always what is the reality here? Who am I helping? What does this team need? So you always start with identifying these first needs and how the process is. Tell us a little bit more on that. How do you orchestrate things from start?
Well, yeah, you have to understand. Yeah, you have to understand the problem first, and sometimes we kind of take it slow because if you propose too fast, people are going to get scared. People are worried about data
Yeah.
loss. We still have a client that we automate 90% of what they do, and it's 3+ years,
Mm.
and they're still manually also like backing things up. I mean, I can't force them like to do it or not, but we'll start slow. You do get some low hanging fruit.
Mhm.
You show them some things where where they see the power of it,
Yeah.
and then once once you get them engaged, you'll like give them a roadmap. Okay, this is the next step. Now we're gonna automate this, and now we could, not only we're automating sending out your invoices. Now when your invoice comes back in, we can use OCR technology to scan it, and we can come plug it in for you, and we
Yeah.
can get it downstream to
Hmm.
accounts payable and so on and so forth. But generally, small baby steps.
In what industry do you realize that has the most potential? You mentioned the restaurant, you mentioned other use cases, but what industry would you say that, well, here there is a gold mine here in case the business owner or the founding team actually realizes the potential of automation?
Every industry needs it, but the reality of where our niche is where there are not out the box solutions.
Mm,
Retail and restaurants, they have it, and they're great. I mean,
mm,
I am not going to be able to build a better system than
mm,
what Stripe has going on. So it's mostly back office stuff. It's mostly small to medium sized teams under 20, 30 people. Really helpful if you have teams spread out. So
mm,
current client I have right now, they have team in the Philippines, in South America, in the United States, and the different time zones and the
yeah.
handoff. So and they were using email and post-it notes. And I mean, if I
Wow.
told you the first consultation I had with them, like I had hair before that. I pulled out all my hair, and you create workflows. The Philippines is 10 and a half hours ahead. So they're finished. That's fine. It comes and sits in the phase. The LA team comes in, and you have
Yeah.
this asynchronous handoff between teams. Doesn't
Hmm.
matter what time zone they are, and you give them these tools to be able to to have the proper flow.
That's amazing. I mean, if it's a complex situation with distributed teams, I mean, I imagine that the results will be felt immediately, right? They will immediately understand the power that they were missing up
Precisely.
until that moment. But is there any other like very simple case that you can describe, like a very small team that you just did some plug and play and boom?
Very small team that we did plug and play. Um, just yet onboarding. So
Mm,
we had people that were signing up for it's a hard money lender. They lend money for people that are doing real estate transactions when banks say no. And so people would come sign up from whatever means that they had. They had an onboarding like flow, and then on Monday morning when one of their agents would come in,
mhm.
they would come pull this information if they remembered, if there wasn't anything more important. So all we did is it's actually sitting on Pipefy also. We embedded a form on there, and once that person submits the form,
Yeah.
not only they get a confirmation that says, "Hi, John Doe, we've received your claim. Someone will be in contact. Also, come check out our social channels. Come check out this. Come check out this YouTube video how we had solutions." And then a card got created, a task got created for the person on Monday. Now, on Monday morning, if that person didn't respond, if let's say 2 days later, if it's still in that phase of unresponded, their supervisor now gets a
Mm,
ping that says, "Hey, we have a lead that's been sitting in here for 2 days. It's not responded." So it kind of gives
yeah.
some accountability where
Mhm.
they have to follow up. Now, supervisors can't watch everything, but then you could create these rules where if the person is not doing what they're supposed to do, then you get the supervisor
Yeah.
involved. Not to micromanage and see everything, but when something's not supposed to happen, or give
That's a
them
perfect
yeah,
setting.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a perfect setting. And I'm glad that you mentioned onboarding because I want to plug back to the fact that you onboarded 20,000 clients
sure,
in 30 days.
sure.
So walk us through that
Mm.
sprint.
I can't take complete credit for it, but yeah, that was a very unique case, and it was the last time Trump was in office, and this is an immigration law firm, and they dealt with cases for the DV lottery. I don't know if you know what the DV lottery is or
Mm,
not, but certain amount of people from certain nations every year they win a lottery to be able to come to the United
yes.
States.
Hmm.
And there was a small firm team of 2 or 3 paralegals
Mm,
who handled usually 10 to 20
yeah.
cases. All of a sudden, this turned into a need of there's 50,000 people
My
that need
goodness.
this. So it's impossible. He could not scale that fast.
Yeah.
Impossible for him to find a non-technical solution. So yeah, all we did is we created a onboarding
Hmm.
on intelligent onboarding form. So they would first come choose their nation because every nation is different, and then they
Mm,
would come choose if they were single, if they had kids, if they didn't, because all of these were different. So use conditionals. If you're married, do you have kids, so on and so forth. And then according to their responses, it would get routed to the proper paralegal.
Mhm.
But way before that, all the manual stuff. So as soon as they submitted it, we would auto send them all the required fields. So we got a card that was created for them, and then we auto sent them. Hi, now we need you to send us back your X, Y, and Z copy of
Mhm.
your passport, copy of this, copy of that. We now
Mhm.
have the buckets inside the software to make sure that we have all of those, and we
Mhm.
could keep track of those later. And then once they provided all that to us, and then that the human, this is 3 4 years ago, the human was in the middle, so the
Mm.
paralegal would still spend a couple days to check that out. Now you don't even have to do that.
Wow.
Now you can automate. You don't need the human in the middle.
It
You
would be
use
faster now than it
absolute
was.
and yeah, and smarter. So the OCR will go check. Okay, this needs to be a passport. This is the qualifications of a passport, which is from this country.
Yeah.
Check, check, check. You put a threshold of what, a 90% threshold. If it's not, you still bring the human back in the middle.
Mhm.
So I mean, people freak out. It's going to make mistakes. We're safe. You take it slow. You're
Mm.
safe. You analyze a lot of them before you make it too automated.
It's not as humans don't make mistakes as well, right? Or like we talk about AI mistakes as if humans wouldn't make those mistakes,
Correct.
but the reality is not that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right?
The Tesla cars get a lot of bad rep for like humans make a lot more. Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but interesting case that one because it was out of a sudden. It was
Yeah,
something that was not expected,
sure,
and then you,
sure,
you solved for that.
sure.
And interesting to learn that nowadays it will be even faster and
Hmm.
it will be easier.
Correct.
What changed?
The technology, the
Yeah.
tools, yeah, it's just it's amazing. This exponential curve, and it's just like day by day, week by week. I mean, when I sit here and I confidently say, I, there's very little we say no to. That wasn't the case 6 months ago. That
Mm,
wasn't the case
wow,
12 months ago. So the tools have just gotten so much smarter and better.
that's amazing. And you mentioned a few cases where you dig in and you plug everything, you bring all the tech stack. But I imagine there are cases where you go in and there are already some things set up,
Yep.
like other tools. And how is that? How do you maybe replace some of these tools, upgrade them? How does that work? I imagine people might be listening and thinking, oh, but these forms, I can do that on Google Forms or some other standard tool. Is that the case?
We will analyze it, and generally we if you are set on the way you are doing things, we can connect them and make them work. Now if we spot something where it's just it are there's the available solution is either so much better or so much cheaper, or
Mm.
other, that's when we'll, like, I don't want to say, put our foot down. We'll highly suggest for them to replace it. But for the most part, yeah, you have the tools that you have right now, and it's, if it's a modern software, we would be able to connect them together. So
Mm.
you're going to continue to use your Google Forms, no problem. We'll have an API that'll look
Mm.
at that at Google Drive when it's submitted. Now, what you want to do downstream with that? You want to send that to
Really cool.
DocuSign, go pull that information, get it to DocuSign, send
Uh-huh.
it, auto send it for them. If it doesn't, if once it comes back, now you can send it to Stripe to get a credit card payment.
Mhm.
So we can connect all these systems for an established existing company.
Mhm.
But if a fresh company comes, obviously we'll based on their budget and their needs, recommend the best available tools to them.
That's really interesting because it's less disruptive for the team, right? Like for people who are on a daily basis handling those
Sure,
processes,
sure.
they can still do what they do,
Yeah,
but the results will come out faster, and
sure,
it will be they will be able to handle much more
sure.
work. And I think that's one of the advantages of AI right now,
Hmm.
right? Is
Hmm.
that people are you probably meet people who are afraid of it,
Sure,
who are thinking, well, I may be
sure,
replaced, I may not have a job
sure.
in a couple months. What are your thoughts on that?
It is going to disrupt. It is definitely going to disrupt the workflow. I mean, I'm sorry, the workforce. Without a doubt, it's going to majorly disrupt it. But the same way the previous technologies
Mm.
produced new jobs that we couldn't imagine 10 years ago, it's going to do the same. So yes,
Okay.
the current X, Y, and Z will get replaced by the automations, but it's going to create a whole bunch of new jobs. All
Hmm.
right. So I don't know what that job is. I don't think the smartest people in software in tech know what that job is, but they're going to start popping up. So like the best thing, if you're really worried, stay on top of it. Use these tools every single day to your advantage. Be curious, watch YouTube, listen to tech podcasts,
Hmm.
stay involved in it, and I guarantee you will find you will not be as disconnected when these systems change, but it's the
Yeah.
reality. I mean,
Yeah.
why? I mean, if you are a small business owner and you can have an automation or a tool, that could do it better than the human, you're going to use it to hopefully scale. You're going to
Okay.
hopefully you have that team. You've had that team for X amount of years. There's no reason to let them go.
Mm.
Go get 10x business.
Wow.
But yeah, in my opinion, it will create a bunch of new jobs that no one knows what those jobs are right now.
Yeah. We both have small kids. Mine is a little bit older than yours. And it's very hard to imagine how the world will be for them in 20, 30 years. But let's think on someone joining the workforce right now. I mean, you just got out of college, you are starting on your first job, or your second job, whatever. You are starting your career now in 2025. Amir, if you were in their shoes, what would you do right now? I mean, you are interested in process. They're here listening
Sure.
to us. So they're interested in business processes, in automation, operations. What would you do?
Just a complete blank slate. It at this juncture, it would be in technology. I mean, at
Yeah.
this juncture, I would say be in technology. If I have to be more specific, I think one thing that's going to get really serious is more cyber stuff and more
Mm.
security stuff. So I think if
Mm.
somebody like right now, or uh, you know 10 years ago, if you asked me if some young kid in high school is like, what should I be in college, I'd say definitely, get into computer science.
Yeah.
Definitely. Now, as the landscape is changing, I don't know, but today, right now, if I had to say something, I'd probably say something in the security realm. I think
That's interesting. Why? Why is that?
as these systems are getting more intelligent, it's
Mhm.
also bad actors are going to, get more
Mm.
intelligent and get more
Mm.
tricks also. And
Makes
yes,
sense.
the AI on top of that will detect it. But it's just this cat and mouse game. So
Mm.
just my opinion, I think cybersecurity is gonna be for the next, I don't know.
Yeah, it's becoming harder and harder to
Yeah.
understand even content right now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What's real, what's not.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I dig it. I think it's a really good advice, you guys. If you're listening, I mean, studying more security, studying more technology, it can be wrong.
Yeah.
Awesome. Something else that I wanted to learn from you. Your website says that you design and deploy integrated tech stacks rather than install tools. You describe a little bit of it, but how do you map these processes to understand what to plug, what to disconnect? What you said before that it doesn't have to be disruptive to the
Sure.
person running the show, but at the same time changes must you must make some changes
Sure.
to get to the outcome.
Sure. Well, we get to know the company. We get to know we zoom out from just a technical view, and we get to understand of what they're doing in real life. So that's the first thing. Is like my team and I have multiple sessions with different departments, and we get to know, okay, so I understand, like, you use these tools, but what do you do? What are you doing on a day to day? Once you have an understanding of like what their real business is, that allows you to make the tech suggestions. If you're just zooming out and just looking at just like workflows and we're looking at what you can automate, it's not going to click for you. So you understand what their business is. You got to speak with all departments. We generally try to, we have the initial meeting with the decision makers and we get a high level. And then if possible, we ask to have meetings with the teams without like the supervision, without the supervisors and managers, because some people would be guarded. Not to tell us any secrets, but they can actually tell us what it's like in the trenches. Because the people in the trenches are generally the ones that are going to have a better understanding of what is wrong and where the bottlenecks are, and what the biggest problems are. So you look at across all departments, and then you kind of map it out and you make a priority
How
list.
long does it take to do all of that?
It
It
real
really
Yeah,
depends.
I mean, yeah, it could be, it could be a 4-hour thing, it could be a 40-hour thing,
Okay.
and then it's iterating. It's like,
Uh-huh.
plan A, you might plan something out and it doesn't work, and then you'll iterate, you'll
Hmm.
change it,
Hmm.
you'll try a tool, didn't work out for whatever reason,
Hmm.
you
It
swap the
needs to be
tool.
flexible. That's part of the
Yeah,
job.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
what are your promises when you first come in?
No promises.
No
Yeah. No,
promises.
I mean the promises is it's tech can help you. Tech
Yeah.
can if it's us that help you or someone else, as I said, just be curious and go to ChatGPT. I mean,
Mm,
if you're curious and you have time, just go to ChatGPT. You'll it's unbelievable what answers what things you could just do by yourself if you're
yeah.
just curious and you spend a little energy and time to do it. So there's no
But I think
promises.
time to do it, that's the key
Sure.
because most managers right now, they don't
Sure.
have the time,
Sure.
right? They
Sure.
need help. And I think another thing is that you have done it.
Sure.
So that saves time,
Sure.
a
Sure.
ton of time.
Sure.
And I mean, once you do it by yourself, we said it before, you get attached even to your Franken's tools. You might get attached to that,
Sure.
and changing from there, it might be disruptive twice
Sure.
instead of just
Sure.
once and it's done. So yeah, I truly believe in bringing in someone experienced as yourself or someone just like you who has done it before to join into. I mean, even the knowledge right now, the landscape
Mhm.
of tools. I mean, the enormity. I remember when I first started in marketing technologies, it was a few years ago, and we had a couple hundred tools to compete with in my case or to choose from in the client's case. And 10 years later, 15 years later, we're in the tens of thousands. And it's crazy. It's crazy to even choose what are you going to use, what are you going to what will work for you or not. So I would like to propose here, if you're into it, two lightning round. Is that okay?
Sure, please.
So I will tell you the problem or what we're looking for, and out of your mind, you just tell me a couple options. Is that
Fine.
okay?
Sure, of course, please.
Let's navigate these tens of thousands tools
Pop
from
quiz.
pop quiz from Amir's point of view here.
Okay, let's do it.
So let's do it. CRM.
Okay.
CRM. What
Yep.
do you think? What are your choices or your suggestions in that landscape, that field?
CRM is Pipefy. I love Pipefy.
Okay.
I've used them all. I've used Asana. I've used Monday. I have clients on all the platforms. I'm the biggest Pipefy fan. I'm the biggest Pipefy fan. I like them because it just has such a blank slate and
Mm,
because it connects with so many other iPasses. So people
okay.
that don't know, iPass is a integrations platform as a service, and it connects with so many of them. It also allows you to call raw HTTP calls.
Mhm.
And recently, they've even integrated their own native iPass. So my choice is Pipefy. It's also priced out more cost effective.
Mm,
And I believe one of those things, the reasons is because it's based out of Brazil. So I think
mm.
it's, the maybe the human capital is a
Yeah,
little,
the access to great developers down there is amazing. Yeah.
it is definitely a feature and not a bug
Yeah.
because it's when something goes wrong and I have to either open a ticket with their support team or their sales team.
Hmm.
It's an amazing culture. It is
Yeah.
absolutely an amazing culture,
Hmm.
and it's just everyone is so engaged. So I mean, when you run into problems, and there's even been cases where they've they've changed something on their back end for a customer because they noticed
That
that.
will happen with tools too, right? That's interesting that you mentioned. This was supposed to be a lightning round, but I'm I like to
Sorry, I went on
expand.
deep
No, that's
deep.
that's my problem here. I always want. I'm curious, so I want to know more.
Sorry.
So that will happen with tools, anyways. I mean, problems will happen, and things. Sometimes you get a hiccup on the process, and the way that the support team acts back
Hmm.
is really important, right?
Hmm.
Once you're
Hmm.
I mean, you're relying on a lot of technology
Hmm.
once you transform your processes. So from that point on, you're also a little bit, yeah, you're vulnerable. We can
Sure.
say that,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
So choosing the right partner is key.
Correct. Yeah. And right now with the chat bots, without calling out specific other CRMs, it's
Mm.
first you got to get past the bot army, and then it's going to take an 8 to 10 hour window for them to respond. And like sometimes it's like they need those tools to go online.
Yeah,
So
imagine that
that's
eight
important.
eight hours for a
Yeah.
business to be a no.
Yeah.
That's
After
impossible.
getting past the first 4 rounds of those bots and those annoying smart bots of like getting to that, okay, would you like to open a ticket?
Which is really interesting because on one hand, we are also helping businesses set up set
Sure.
bots, right? But we have to do it in a sensitive way.
Don't get me wrong. If it's good, it's good. I mean, if
Yeah.
it's good, if it's like Zendesk with email thing, theirs is, I believe the last 10 tickets
Uh-huh.
I would have normally had to talk to a human. I think their bot took care of all 10 of them.
Look at that.
Yeah, yeah,
Look at that. So we said CRM.
yeah.
You already dropped another name, which is customer services. You are customer. I mean the other side of things, the tickets managing
Sure.
tool that you can have Zendesk. That's a great one.
Yeah.
How about marketing automation? Going back to our lightning round, marketing automation.
Really depends on the scale of the business. I mean, how big or
From
how
a small one to a bigger one, like give me two names.
HubSpot,
HubSpot?
Salesforce. Yeah,
Okay.
it really depends what your budget
Mm-hmm.
is. I mean, if you can afford it, it's always going to be Salesforce, I think.
Oh, if you can afford it, Salesforce. If you're a little bit more on the small side, HubSpot.
Hub-
I just saw a couple weeks ago they launched these AI powered tools and features. It's amazing right now,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
HubSpot's
yeah,
really really
yeah.
cool, really cool. How about you mentioned call routing in
Mm-hmm.
one of your use cases?
Mm-hmm.
So for call routing, what would you choose?
Telephony,
Yeah.
Twilio. Twilio's, yeah.
Mm.
Twilio, although Telenex, we're also using Telenex a lot for fax. And there,
Mm-hmm.
if I had to choose one, it's Twilio, but Telenex is also good.
Mm-hmm. And how about BI?
Business intelligence, Power BI.
Mm.
You mean as a platform for
As
BI?
yes, for BI.
You stumped me.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you like Looker Studio? Have you used it?
I, I, the name is familiar and I
Uh-huh.
think I have some exposure,
It's
but
not
no,
as
tell me.
powerful as
Well, I
Power
don't know. I
BI.
can't, yeah.
Yeah, it's not as powerful. So I really like the options. So yeah, how about on the client side? I mean, thinking on a customer journey, and I believe that there's a lot to gain as a business when you automate the operational side. But I think as a business owner, I don't know about you, but as a business owner, we're always like thinking more or trying to invest more in how do I bring more customers,
Sure.
and then of course I need to improve the operations and the processes to tend to the current customers. But when we talk about bringing more customers, ears get perked, right?
Sure.
People like start listening. So, can you tell me a little bit more on how you automate that side of the business, like helping a business make more money, bring more customers, improve their marketing, their sales operations?
Again, each business use case will be different, but
Yeah.
email campaigns done right are really
Mm,
good. So like warm campaigns to your clients are really good. It just really depends what, as simple as corny as like a little birthday reminder, just staying present, not
ah,
sending too much because if we don't, we become spammy, but you're sometimes in the right place at the right time. Sometimes something lands in your inbox
yeah,
and from a company, you're like, oh, wow, I could really use that massage right now. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So it's staying present in their channels with your existing clients,
Hmm.
and then for new clients, it's you either using pay per click or using YouTube ads or using social media advertising
Hmm.
to acquire new clients is always is always good.
That's awesome. And it's really easy to prove ROI in that case. I mean, you had this amount of customers coming in, and now you have that amount, and you doubled, you tripled. But how do you prove ROI in the case of the previous examples we gave when we're talking about improving internal processes, orchestrating and automating workflows for, let's say, the operation side of the business?
You have metrics because you could see at the
Mm.
end of every quarter you're going to look at how many times that automation ran. So let's say for instance that one I mentioned with the that we've automated the template
Hmm.
where the team of 4 were doing. You see that ran 300 times a week. That ran 1200 times a month, and you
Mm.
knew how long that used to take a human to write that. So you can you could do that math really fast if if you're that kind of company that likes to see it on the spreadsheet. But in my opinion, when you're in an operation, you'll just see the flow. You'll
Ah,
see it. I mean, even if you're not involved with the day to day, you'll see that, like as an owner, you can now log onto a dashboard, get an idea of what's going on,
okay.
with one glance, without contacting anyone.
Mhm.
You can set up little fail safes for yourself in case people aren't doing what they, what they're supposed to do. So yeah, you can always get something in a spreadsheet by
Mhm.
looking at how many times X ran and how
Mhm.
long it used to take a human is Y equals this.
Uh-huh.
But I think you will just you'll see it and feel it in
Yeah.
operations how much smoother everything
And
is.
what should it stick to your dashboard? I mean, these metrics they're very useful when you're setting things up, when you're implementing, and you want to compare. But once things are rolling, what should you watch on your dashboard on a daily basis? What metrics do you recommend to business operations in 2025?
It depends what's important for you. If you're in
Mm.
finance, you want to see your bottlenecks and you want to see your accounts payable, what's a net 30, what's a net 90.
Mm.
Maybe when something reaches net 90, you want to create an automation that says once something reaches net 90, send the email, hi, this is a friendly reminder, just this is coming out due. But it really depends. If you're, if you're an operation where you're managing people, you might want to see how many Amir has in his task and how many
Mm.
Elton has in their task, or so on and so forth. So it really depends what's important to each department, and then
If you're in production, for example, you
okay,
are you are in a manufacturer, you
sure,
are automating the flows for like the products that come out.
sure.
What's the dashboard in operations in that case?
Inventory, I think
Uh-huh.
inventory would be important. See where you're running low, and again, if you go below a threshold of inventory,
Uh-huh.
auto order it. So instead of that human counting on that human, once you reach below 20% of part A, go order it. If it's an email, if they're connected and they have some sort of system, just go auto order it, pay for it. Inventory would be important. Resources as far as staff, if your equipment is online, so if they
Mm.
have some sort of sensor and we can feed it back, where if an equipment is online, well, obviously, but you would be proactive. If it goes offline, you would send the appropriate ping so that they would fix it. But I think each department would have its own unique dashboard of what's important to them.
Definitely. And how about a last one, logistics? If I'm in logistics, I'm distributing this, I'm organizing delivers or
Sure.
something. What is in that dashboard?
That I think I mean, after the service is done, it's really important to always analyze it and look at it if you're dispatching
Mm.
properly, if you're using your resources properly, if you plugged into the correct APIs to do the traffic and the routing. It's really, really, really important for you to, if you have a truck, if you have 10 trucks that have to deliver 100 things, you don't pull, this truck from here to here. So you use the tools, use the Google APIs. You have all the information in the database for tomorrow's pickups. It gives you suggestions, and then usually still, if you are an experienced logistics provider, you have some sort of dispatcher, some sort of manager that's been doing this a long time. I've seen that they take that input and then they tweak it a little bit.
Okay.
It's not a perfect product, but
Uh-huh.
generally that person with experience will say, no, you know what, that delivery number 3 makes more sense for like
Mm.
for this one, and he just like pulls it across to that one.
That's
Um,
really interesting. And we are talking here about dashboards and how you interpret these metrics. And this is a very like high level human ability. Leaders will do that with tons of experience and years on their back. But how do you decide where to include AI and an AI agent in the process? I mean, in this last analytics point, I believe it can be useful for sure.
sure.
Maybe you ask this AI agent to even interpret some of these metrics for you and give you some suggestions on what to improve. But early on, like earlier in the process, how are you using AI agents right now, and what steps are they replacing humans on?
Zendesks is really impressive. Well, AI is a buzzword, and every software is talking about it and they're
Yeah.
showcasing. The reality is there are very few that are doing it right. There are
Mm.
very, very, very few. Zendesk is doing an amazing job.
Hmm.
Pipefy is doing an amazing job. But in a use case with Zendesk, we have a team which they're handling emails for 30 different people. So one or two people are handling all the inbound. It's one dashboard for 30 different their doctors.
Hmm.
So this person was the quarterback. It would come
Hmm.
in, they'd sort this to this, sort this to that. 6 months ago, they rolled out intelligent triage.
Hmm.
And they said, okay, I think you have to have over like 10,000 emails received and sent with
Wow.
them. And they're like, would you like to turn this on? And they also give you a sandbox where it's not auto sending,
Mm.
and it kind of gives you a suggestion. As an email comes in and says, "Broop, based on your previous thing, this should probably get routed to this." And
Mm.
it blew us away. So that is now on. It is enabled where it is doing 95% of what those two people were doing in
Wow.
quarterbacking. The 5%, and it doesn't hallucinate or give bad
Mm,
for information. It just leaves it and adds a tag and a label for them of like, not sure about this one. So
yeah.
you can imagine they now have 95%. Their time is opened up because
Yeah.
this AI, it learned. It saw, okay, these people over 3 years, this is how they do it. And so that's really, really mind-blowing and really good. So when done right, it's amazing, but unfortunately right now, just everyone's talking about AI.
So let's talk a little bit about that. You mentioned that, when it's well done. And right now, I imagine things are evolving and they're progressing. And I imagine there's a lot out there that is much like the buzzword and
Yeah.
not like
Mhm.
deep. And how do you, as a business manager, someone who's listening to us here, how can we tell? What, how can you tell how we don't get trapped into a
Sure.
situation where, I mean, it was just
Yeah.
marketing,
Sure.
just no.
Yeah. You just have to take it slow and test it and don't if you see some quick results, don't like go all in on
Mm.
it and say, "Oh, this is great, this is great, this is great," and then it might disappoint you. So take it
Oh.
slow, watch it for a couple weeks, watch it for 100 or 200 times, and once you get some confidence, make half of it automated, and then you'll
Mhm.
know if the tool that you're using and the partner that you're using, if they're onto something or not.
Have you been trapped before?
Well, yeah, could
Yeah.
gone too fast. Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that. Yeah, I'm guilty of that, and I think especially right, with ChatGPT getting so smart in the last 6 to 12 months, I got lazy and I just
Mm.
stopped checking the output and just copy paste, and got caught with my pants down. So it's like
Yeah.
it's you have to take it slow, especially business and data, and it's important, and it could be embarrassing to send out the wrong thing to vendors and customers.
Oh my, you mentioned hallucinations,
Yeah.
and that's something that worries a lot of
Mhm,
people out
mhm,
there who are starting out with
mhm.
AI and using more specifically generative AI, but all other kinds of tools and AI agents. Uh, how do you tell and how to actually prevent AI from hallucinating, from creating things that don't exist?
The prompt is so important.
Mm.
It's like garbage in, garbage out. If you're lazy with your prompt, the chances of the bot
You
hallucinating.
still have to do the work.
Oh yeah, you have to do the work and get the output and reiterate it and change it and say, okay, I did this 20 times. It was good for 19. On the 20th one on this edge
Mm.
case, it did this. Go revise your prompt, keep a running sheet of like version one on this date, it worked this, and then keep a log of what the
Mm.
errors were, and you revise it and you revise it. You will eventually get another edge case that'll break it, and you just keep working on it.
Mhm.
But you have to take time to give it its forward. Just tell it like, this is what I'm expecting, don't do this. Just saying don't hallucinate doesn't work, because
Mm.
the system, it kind of feels like it doesn't know it's hallucinating.
He does. The system doesn't know if it's wrong. Can we say that, or or we can create a prompt or something that prevents or actually welcomes vulnerability
Mhm.
from the AI agent?
Sure.
And can we say, if you're not sure, just tell me about it? Is that a possibility?
I've tried. At least my experience is it fails. If it's
Uh-huh.
important, if I'm like searching something about like my child's like some problem he's having, perplexity
Mm.
doesn't hallucinate.
Mm.
Perplexity, first of all, gives you, I think, a minimum of 5 sources, and it's just told me I don't know, and
Ah,
I
good.
love that.
Yeah.
That made me feel so much more
We want that
confident.
from humans too, just to
Well, exactly.
right.
More perplexity humans. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And Amir, I would like to talk to you a little bit more on I believe that people like you, like me, like you listening to us, when we are into process automation and productivity and technology, usually we do that with our personal lives as well. So I'm particularly curious right now to understand, how do you bring this knowledge into your life? I mean, what's your day to day like? You wake up, and how is your routine, and how do you bring more life into your life?
It's part of our everyday life. I mean, my wife jokes, but I think she doesn't like the joke where you talk to ChatGPT more than you talk to me, and
Oh
it's
my.
not because I'm trying to neglect my wife, because it's just it's like this tool is there that gives us, if you're curious, you can get all this information, and
Yeah.
generally good information. My funny side tangent. My son, 3-year old, I have a 3-year old son. I picked him up from school the other day, and I said, "Oh, your friend, was that her sister?
Uh,
Your classmate?" He's like, "I don't know." I'm like, "What do you mean you don't know? You go to school every day." He's
wow.
like, "Ask Chat GPT." So like my
Jeez.
3-year-old son is now saying that like I piggyback and
Uh-huh.
I follow. So that's how we use it for, like, the smallest thing. If something is wrong, just to like kind of get a better idea of, because I mean the reality is, like, you have a pediatrician and you have a doctor, but
Mm-hmm.
they're human beings. They don't know everything. They might have
True.
a specialty. So it's kind of good to go into that, if he's dealing with something, kind of get some research, get an idea. And it's
Mm.
really careful when it comes with medical things. Like, I'm not a doctor, please.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I just want to have an understanding. And then when you go talk to that pediatrician, you now have some more information.
Yeah.
When they start telling you something, you can either, if it backs up what you heard, you feel more confident. If it goes against it, then you can open up that question. You can say, "Hey, what about that?" And it's
Mm.
like, so it might even open up, the provider or the doctor.
Possibilities.
You have to think,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's a possibility. Let me get back to you." So
Mm.
information is knowledge. I mean, it's corny to say, but it is. And with these tools, it's just use it to your advantage, and learn more.
And they can make you more productive, feeling more productive
100.
throughout the day and enjoying more of your life. Do you think that can happen to your customers as well?
Sure, certainly, certainly, certainly. It's substitute social media for these LLMs and chatbots, and you'll have a much, a better life, in my opinion. It's because you can learn, and you could find out more, versus, I mean, we could do a complete podcast on the negative things of social media on that, but
Yeah, true. But what is the future for workflow automation, for AI, in your opinion? What can we expect? We already talked about not knowing the 20 years from now or the 30 years from now. It's very obscure for, I mean, most
sure,
of us. But maybe everyone, as you said, even the heads of tech companies in Silicon
sure.
Valley, maybe they still don't know. But how about the next couple of years, next 5 years? What will be your life like in a
I
short?
anticipate we're going to see less with these agents, these AI agents. We're going to see less individual apps. So it's going to be
Okay.
less Zendesk and Platform A and Platform B and Platform C. And they're going to do that on the back end. So we're not
Okay.
going to know what the tools are. They're going to get the best of all of these, and they're going to integrate it. So, there is such a thing as platform fatigue. Right now,
Mm.
I'll go introduce something to a client, and I'm very careful not to give them too many tools at once. You have to log on to 8 different things and remember this and learn this, and a
Mm.
learning curve. And these are people that are already, hey, it's working. Why do you want to change it? So
Yeah.
I envision the next, I don't know, I don't want to give a time frame. It's You're going to be one place and one agent or one platform that is going to be able to do what 15, 20 apps currently do. You don't know what's happening,
Mm.
behind the veil. It's all working and the
Hmm.
best tools.
Is it chat based in your opinion?
Is it what?
Chat based? You're gonna chat with these two, or is it conversational? What's the front end?
I believe, yes, language. I just believe, yeah,
Uh,
I've heard of vibe coding. It's just, yeah, I
yeah,
believe you just speak your language, and the tool will do its magic.
that's amazing.
I see it with my own eyes.
I look forward to it.
Yeah,
Thank you so much,
my
Amir,
pleasure.
for
Thank you.
sharing your knowledge with us. It was a fun ride. And yeah, stay tuned for the next Process Masters podcast. And Amir, thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining
Thank you so
us. It
much. My
was
pleasure.
great.
Thank you.
See you soon.